Cassidy Quinn Bretler. I am here, well, not really here, he's actually across the world, but on the other end of this Skype video call is Florian Kogler, who is the young ambassador from Austria for this year's first Youth Olympic Games that will be happening in August. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today, Florian.
Thank you, Cassidy.
So, just first off, could you just explain a little bit about what your role is as a young ambassador?
You know, this year marks the first time that the Youth Olympic Games are going to take place. They're going to take place from August 14 to 26 in Singapore. Mm-hmm. And to promote the idea of the Youth Olympic Games, which is not just the Olympic Games downsized for youngsters, but there's so much more to it. So they invited 30 young ambassadors from all over the world, like me, to promote what the Youth Olympic Games are about. So on the one hand, we are ambassadors for the idea of the Youth Olympic Games. And on the other hand, I also see our roles as big brothers and sisters for the athletes, because many of us are already a stage further in our development. So we can definitely give some valuable advice to the young athletes out there, I think.
That sounds really cool. How did you end up getting that gig?
I was working for the first Youth Olympic Winter Games. They're going to take place in Austria in 2 years. Mm-hmm. And back then, when they were still in the bidding phase, they asked me and some colleagues if we wanted to write a part of the bid book, which was a huge honor, of course. You know, like all those, They were business consultants and sports managers with 30 years experience. And they asked us, sophomore students, if we wanted to take part. And and apparently we did a good job. And so I stayed in touch with the guys and asked how they were doing. And when I heard that they were looking for young ambassadors, they were like, we remember this one guy, he was writing in the bid book. And so they called me, and of course I said yes. And that's how I ended up here.
Wow, that's cool. A lucky string of events put together.
Yeah, definitely. It worked out pretty nicely. I'm really happy I can do this.
Mm-hmm. And so you're going to school right now for psychology and advertising? Right?
That's right, yeah.
And so, because of that, what makes you interested in being a young ambassador? How does that relate to this experience?
Well, I already hold a bachelor's degree in sports management.
Okay.
So, and also I was an active athlete for 15 years. I used to play team handball. And so I definitely come from a sporting background. And what I'm doing now, like advertising and psychology, I want to use those two domains to incorporate in my interest in sports. So I want to go into sports psychology on the other hand, on the one hand, and on the other hand, I want to take the skills I acquire with my advertising studies and use them in the world of sports and sports management.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, you seem like a very active person. I was looking at your blog earlier today and reading about when you decided to walk barefoot around the city at 4 a.m. the other night. Yeah,
that's a legendary story. Like, so many people when going out are like, "Are you the guy walking barefoot?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I've got to show you this." It was my birthday 2 days ago.
Happy birthday! Happy belated birthday!
Thanks. And a fellow DJ colleague, we were DJing at the gig I walked home barefoot from. And he came to my birthday party and he said, "Just in case, I give you an emergency pair of these." And so, yeah, I mean, I don't know if they fit, like they're size 9, so that could maybe work out. But, so he gave me an emergency pair of shoes. But as I wrote in the blog, it's not like a story of a drunken guy walking home. It's more like, when I was younger, like a teenager, and I still do it, I used to make bets with myself, like, how long can I hold my breath until I collapse? And, once I really collapsed and I hurt my chin here, but still. And this time it was another time. I was like, how far can I go without my shoes on before giving up? And the answer is I don't give up, so I walked home.
Well, that's cool that you can set little goals like that for yourself.
Next time it's 4 miles.
When did you start getting involved in sports?
I got involved in sports when I was 7 years old. Wow. My dad, he was on the Austrian national team of team handball, and he's also a certified coach, and he started working in the club, joined as a youth coach, and he took over like the little league team, and me and my brother, we started out, and then, I stayed with it, and I used to play handball till I was 19, then I finished my military service, we've got compulsory military service in Austria, and then I moved to college like some 300 miles away, and I joined another club which was playing first league. So for 1 year, I also joined a pro team, and that was definitely a great experience.
And will that sport be in the Youth Olympic Games this year?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, team handball, I read it's the third most popular ball game in the entire world. Like, if you take the entire world, first one is soccer, of course. Second one would be basketball, I guess. And third one is team handball. Although I have to acknowledge I don't know how they come up with those figures. Because, you've got baseball, which involves the ball, and American football, so I don't really know if you're bigger than baseball. It's definitely, it's a great sport, and it taught me a lot about life, because, like, the physical contact is like in American football, and I only weigh like 170 pounds, so I had to sneak my way around a bit.
And so is that the sport that you're most looking forward to seeing at these games?
Yeah, I mean, it's, I also started the coaching education this year, so I tried to follow my father and become a certified coach. It's a 3-step education taking several years. And so, it's like, I've been active also for 15 years and know so much about the sport, so I really enjoy it on a deeper level. However, on the other hand, if I see a sport, I don't know much about it. I'm just, like a naive bystander, and I can really enjoy it without worrying about tactics and what players might do wrong, or questioning myself how I would react in a certain situation.
And what else would you say is the thing that you're most looking forward to at the games?
Like we had this young ambassador seminar in March 2 weeks ago, and it's just, we met with so many people from different cultures, and it was from the start, there was no, it only took us an hour to get to know each other, and we were best friends from that point on, and it's going to be even bigger with the Youth Olympic Games, so I guess what I'm most looking forward to is just meeting with people from all over the world and spending 2 amazing weeks with them.
Mm-hmm. What was that conference like? What did you do it there?
There is this, as I said before, the cultural education program with 5 pillars, which are Olympism and the Olympic movement, healthy lifestyle and well-being, skills development, the use of digital media, and also social responsibility. So they're trying to teach the champions of tomorrow the values they need on their way to becoming real winners and champions. And basically, they introduced the young ambassadors to this program so that we can give advice to our athletes what they can expect from the CEP, answer their questions, and also, of course, encourage them, because, we did so many activities that were so much fun, and I just don't want my athletes to miss out on them, so I'm really going to actively promote those things to them.
Yeah. So had you ever been to Singapore before?
No, never. First time in Asia.
What was it like? Was it a lot different than Austria, or?
Yeah, I'd say, it's, first of all, people were really friendly. I don't know if you know, but Austrians tend to be a little grumpy once in a while. Maybe it's weather or the mountains, or I don't know. And also, yeah, the weather there, it was, I got off the plane, and it was like if somebody had hit me with a hot, wet towel, because the humidity is crazy. But yeah, it's, I've also lived in bigger cities. I've lived in Paris for half a year, and I've lived in New York City for half a year. So I kind of know my way around in bigger cities like Singapore is. So for me, it was not that different from, for example, New York City, which is a melting pot of cultures as well. Mm-hmm. But yeah, definitely bigger and crazier than anything I've ever seen in Austria.
And how long is the flight from Austria to Singapore?
I flew via Munich, and from Munich it's like 12 hours, so from Vienna it would be 11 hours probably.
Wow, it's a long flight.
Yeah, it's overnight at least, so I could get some sleep.